Welcome to this BDCOM GPON configuration tutorial. In this video, we'll guide you through the process of configuring GPON ONU bandwidth limits using the CLI. To get started, log into your GPON OLT using console, SSH, or Telnet access. Once logged in, enter Global Configuration Mode to begin the configuration process. Before configuring the bandwidth limits, you first need to create a T-CONT profile. However, before we dive into the configuration steps, it's important to understand what a T-CONT is and how it functions within a GPON network. In GPON networks, a T-CONT, short for transmission container, acts as a logical container that controls how upstream bandwidth is allocated. The OLT uses these T-CONTs to manage exactly how much bandwidth each ONU or each service is allowed to use. Every T-CONT is defined by three key bandwidth parameters. First, there's FIR, the fixed information rate, which represents strictly reserved bandwidth that the ONU can always use. Next is CIR, the committed information rate, which guarantees a minimum level of bandwidth even during congestion. And finally, there's PIR, the peak information rate, which allows the ONU to temporarily burst above the guaranteed rate whenever extra bandwidth is available. There are 5 types of T-CONT, or transmission containers, used in GPON networks, and each works differently. Type 1, fixed, uses FIR only. The bandwidth is always available, even if you don't use it. Best for voice. Type 2, assured, uses CIR only. The bandwidth is guaranteed, but only when you actually have data to send. Best for video. Type 3, non-assured, uses CIR plus PIR. You get a guaranteed minimum bandwidth, but can burst up to a higher peak if the network allows it. Type 4, best effort, uses PIR only. There are no guarantees. You reach the peak speed only when the network has available capacity. Best for web browsing. Type 5, mixed, uses FIR, CIR, and PIR together. The all-in-one container designed for services that handle voice, video, and internet simultaneously. Now let's return to configuring the T-CONT profile and ONU bandwidth limits. In this example, we will limit the ONU bandwidth to 10 megabits per second. First, create a T-CONT profile for 10 megabits per second using the following commands. GPON profile, ONU T-CONT, T-CONT _ 10 MB. Then, GPON profile T-CONT Type 4 PR 10240. Here, T-CONT _ 10 MB is the name of the T-CONT profile. We have configured T-CONT Type 4 with a peak information rate, or PIR, of 10 megabits per second, or 10,240 kilobits per second. Next, create a T-CONT virtual port bind profile and bind the newly created T-CONT profile to the default virtual port profile using the following commands. GPON profile ONU T-CONT virtual port bind TV bind _ 10 MB. Then, GPON profile virtual port 1 profile virtual port default T-CONT 1 profile T-CONT _ 10 MB. After creating the profiles, apply them to the ONU to enforce the upload bandwidth limit. Enter the ONU interface configuration mode and run the following commands. Interface GPON 0/0/3:3. After that, GPON ONU T-CONT virtual port bind profile TV bind _ 10 MB. To configure the download bandwidth limit, use the following command under the ONU interface. GPON ONU virtual port 1 downstream rate limit kbps 110/240. The bandwidth configuration is now complete. You can connect a PC to the configured ONU and perform a bandwidth test to verify the settings. The ONU should now be limited to 10 megabits per second for both upload and download traffic. That concludes this tutorial. If you have any questions or need further assistance, feel free to leave a comment below. We'll be happy to help. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next tutorial.